Greetings, heathens and heretics, and praise the Lord. It's Sunday morning, sunny, hot, sweaty Sunday morning. Yeah, fuck that. Um, we're well. I tell you what. Where we'll start. You know, you can notice the shirt that the voice of reason is wearing. And why are you wearing that shirt?
Well, I thought, I mean, this is the first recording I've done since that glorious day 2 weeks ago, where we finally win a major trophy, not some piddly promotion trophy. Um, so I thought I'd have this indulgence of just wearing this just for this episode, just to shout from the hilltops.
So you all may refer to him as Palace Wanker for this one episode.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah,
the southeast, well, the very southeast of England. I think this summer is going to be like Wayne and Garth backstage. Basically, every Palace fan, you're going to see a lot more Palace shirts, a lot more sort of in public kind of thing. As
yeah, you fucking glory fans, glory fans.
no,
Never thought we'd hear
we're
that.
not glory hunters. I mean, we might pick up some glory hunters up, this summer, but yeah, no, it feels good, and it's a bit of a high at the moment. And of course, we won't accept anything less than the treble next season.
Fucking right. Well, you got the charity shield or whatever it's called now as well, haven't you? At the start of next
Yeah,
season.
well, I mean,
No?
if I'm a bloodstock, then I can't do that either.
Oh, it's that
So,
weekend, is it? All right. Okay.
but it's I mean, that's just a day out in it, really.
Yeah, it's a fucking preseason friendly, isn't it? But well, look, as it is Sunday morning, we're reviewing an album with God in the title. That wasn't intentional, so I've only just clocked that. So Volbeat, God of Angels Trust, comes out on the 6th of June. And Volbeat, I mean, Volbeat, most people watching this probably know who Volbeat are and what they do. I mean, this is the ninth studio album. They've been around for quite a long time now, sort of just kind of chipping away at a career sort of thing, and getting bigger and bigger. They're arena level in the UK now and stuff like that. So we thought we'd give this a go and see what we think because I've got a soft spot for Volbeat. So yeah, let's see. So first impressions, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first listen was, it didn't bring me in straight away. I think what's been clear to me, I think, with repeated listens, is it's very much of a grower. I think
I agree
so.
with
I'm not going to sit here and say it's an instant win in that regard. But I think my relationship with Old Beat, well, like a lot of the metal bands, as I've said, it's been less in the last 10 plus years as I've dropped off the bandwagon. So the last album I was massively familiar with was Beyond Hell. And that's 15 years ago. Um, but what interests me now is they do seem to have evolved, I think, to a more organic band. I mean, which is understandable. They've been doing it for a while. They're a bit more, with it now. They know what they want to do. But as much as I liked what I heard previously, it did still feel like they were a bit of a gimmick band.
Mm.
And I'm not trying to be horrible there because I did like them, but this sort of, playing Americana retro pop um, with metal riffs, it was a bit of a gimmick, and that seemed to be what it was most of the time. I mean, yeah, it could be country or bluegrass or 50s rockabilly as we heard, but it was always done with metal riffs. But now it feels like they've managed to sort of get a better blend where, as much as they're still doing most of their stuff, they can do the pop and the metal a bit more obviously, and it doesn't feel so, I don't know, obvious.
Yeah, it's not so forced. I mean, yeah, I'm with you. My history with Volbeat goes back to the earlier albums. I haven't really listened to a great deal of the more recent stuff. I mean, I kind of know you do know what to expect from them. But I've only ever seen them live once, and I didn't know who they were. It was at Wacken in 2006. I remember catching about 10 minutes of their set. So I've never sort of seen them live. But like I said, they have grown into this, arena level, metal band, if you want to call them that. And seems to have happened quite organically. This album is apparently they've taken a different approach to the songwriting with this album from what Michael Paulson was saying is they've kind of taken away all the shackles. Go, right, we're just going to write the songs we want to write, not really going to overthink it. And apparently this is the result. I mean, I'm not sure about that because it still sounds like a Volt. It doesn't really sound a great deal different to what they've done before, but the enjoyable parts of this album are really good. You know, you can't knock Volbeat for the ability to write a hook. You
No,
know, they do that so well. Yes, they're using tried and tested techniques, but you know, they do hit it. I mean, um, the the elephant in the room is the Metallica isms in it. You know, the Black Album era sort of Metallica isms. So, where do you stand with that? Because that's usually what gets thrown at them.
I mean, I'm not even sure it's an elephant in the room. I think it's a nice, cute Labrador, just sort of coming up for pets and keeping itself occupied. I mean, I, I noticed on the internet when I was doing a bit of research that they seem to be an unpopular band in certain parts of the metal
Mm.
community, which I didn't realize. I thought, okay, they got the fan base and they haven't, but they were getting lumped in with the sort of, I don't know, the stodgy American post new metal groove
Mm.
metal kind of thing. But I wonder if it's just because they've got a radio friendly element, and of course they do that
Yeah.
Americana thing, which has caused that. And I think it's unfair because they can write songs, they can write choruses, and a lot of those
Mhm.
other bands,
God.
yeah, they can't basically. Um, and as for the Metallicaisms, yeah, for me, there's a lot of Black Album in this album. Um, but I'm thinking, I think the kind of people who like the Black Album probably or may do like may like Volbeat as well. I don't see the people. Um, I don't see Volbeat fans as being purists who hated the Black Album.
No.
I think that's where there is a bit. I think there is a bit of a crossover there. So I don't think it's a problem, if I'm honest with you, and I think it works quite well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem at all. I mean, the second track in by a Monster's Hand, that's the one that's got the first sort of relatively obvious Metallica riff.
Yeah,
But it's just a good, it's just good commercial metal. You know, there is no overthinking it. It's got a hook. It's got good riffs. It's got some great guitar solo action in it. You know, it's sort of, and it's not the first track, but it's a great way for to pick the album up, and
yeah,
it kind of goes from there. And then they go straight from that into Acid Rain, which is a really poppy song. And this is what I think Volbeat do particularly well. Um, this is probably the album highlight for me, and it is like almost
okay,
pure pop. You know,
okay.
it's so, and that's what surprised me. I was with you the first listen. I was a bit like, nothing's really standing out. But a few more listens, it has started to kind of, dig its way into my ears.
Yeah, see, I think Acid Rain is pretty solid, but I think in terms of not so much a standout track, I'll come to that in a minute, but in terms of like the most obvious, I suppose, pop track, I found that to be Time Will Heal. Um,
Yeah, I found that a little bit kind of, that's when my interest kind of sort of dipped off a little bit there. But yeah,
well, yeah, maybe, and I can see why because it's a very sparkling sort of pop sound, isn't it? Which, yeah, and apologies for the comparison here, bear with me, but it's the kind of thing that you do hear the likes of U2 and Coldplay do.
oh no, oh no,
I
you
know,
went there, didn't you?
but it just sums up why approaching things in a particular way makes the difference because you've still got the you sort of riffs in there, you've got a sort of hard rock approach to it, and you've got a very good old-fashioned crooning voice with Michael Paulson doing it, and it sounds good. But when Bono and Chris Martin do it, it just sounds go away, basically. So there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. It's good. It can be good stuff. It's how you approach it, and when you approach it with a bit of power and a bit of oomph, it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that kind of sums up. But yeah, it is probably I can see people not being into it.
We'll talk about Michael Paulson's voice for a minute because I've always really liked it. I think he's got a great singing voice. He's not tearing down walls with it, but it obviously suits the music. He's got a great tone, whether it's a ballad, and when he gets a bit, he does that well too. He's got, and again, it's obvious, but he's got the Hetfield about him, hasn't he, in the way he delivers himself.
Yeah, yeah. He can, yeah, which is why he can. He croons maybe
Yeah.
too much sometimes, but yeah. I mean, am I right in thinking he's a vocalist in Ashen Hell as well,
Yeah.
or is
Yeah.
he
But
is
is he
right? So we know.
vocals? Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I
I
think
don't
he's
know.
vocals as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Well, either way, we know he can do that stuff. I mean, you sent me quite a funny memory the other day, which video reel, which summed up
That was yeah,
Volbeat.
that was funny.
That was hilarious. Yeah. but he doesn't do that so much on this album, does it?
No.
I don't think. Yeah, he's stepped away from that. So when he does give it the oomph, it's still quite well singy, basically.
Yeah, and it all feels natural as well. It's not like, oh, we need to get a, a bit more of a gruff bit in there kind of thing. It's whatever fits the song. And,
Yeah,
the in the barn of the goat giving birth to a Satan spawn in a dying world of doom. Yes, I had to read that off a fucking screen because no one's going to remember that. What a title.
yeah. I mean, I think someone was trying to win a bet with that.
Yeah, it sounds like something from, from mid-90s Norway, but I really like this song as well. Like I say, it's a great title. The riff at the end of it reminds me of like modern crossover thrash, like bands like Spirit World, even because
Yeah,
that's all in there. You got a bit of Maiden in this song as well, in a bit of a gallop. It's country to thrash, sort of,
yeah,
it's all over the
bluegrassy
place,
stuff.
but it
Yeah,
hooked me in.
it's certainly not the most metal track, is it? Despite the title,
Yeah.
but it all works. It all blends well together and yeah, flows naturally.
No, it did. It really hooked me in. Better Be Fueled Than Tamed. That's another sort of Metallica stroke rock and roll one. That I
Yeah, see
quite liked as well.
for me that's Volbeat by numbers.
Oh, it's definitely
That
Volbeat.
really is. Yeah, that's when I thought, oh, okay. And don't get me wrong, I didn't dislike it, but for me, what came before was I felt a bit more interesting, I think,
Yeah.
in terms of listening. And when I heard this, it was like, oh, okay, I've phoned this one in, I think, really. But in the course of a whole album, I think it's fine. It kind of works in the overall variance of it.
Yeah, like, the album flows quite well, doesn't it? Like I said, there's a little bit in the middle, like with Time Will Heal, that I did find myself losing interest a little bit, but I think that's going to happen with an album like this. 10 songs, it's not all going to blow you away, is it? It's sort of, it's like heavy metal easy listening almost. It- So,
Yeah.
but I don't think they should be criticized for that.
No, no, absolutely. And I think for me, the standout track on the album has probably the best pop chorus I've heard this year in Demonic Depression, which,
My notes on this are catchy as fuck.
yeah,
There you go.
I mean, the verse pummels along with a double pedal drum, quite metal, quite straightforward, but then they just stop and just dive into this big 80s pop
Mm.
chorus that is, I mean, it's very straightforward. It's not particularly dynamic in tune, but it's just fucking huge. And you can hear any of the big pop 80s pop legends sort of singing this and it fitting right in. And then they go back into the metal. But it's just, yeah, it's one of my favorite songs of the year.
Well, oh, fucking hell. Yeah. Well, look, they do this kind of thing very well. They've got a format. I mean, obviously they lost Rob Caggiano last year, which the rest of the band has said, look, it has no effect on the dynamic of the music, but I think most of it comes through Michael Paulson anyway, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a bit like that. But I mean, I don't know where Volbeat sort of stand. I've always been surprised they've never been a Bloodstock headliner because I've always thought they would fit as that because Bloodstock's always got a slightly more commercial leaning headliner somewhere in the weekend. And I've always thought they should have been one of those bands, and it's never seemed to have happened. Probably past them now, but I would, in the last, I would say they'd be a good shout for that kind of slot.
No, I mean, to be fair, I was really surprised when you said that they were doing arena dates because
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw them in 2012, it was a headline in the Kentish Town Forum,
Hmm.
and that was a great gig. And then I saw them a couple of years later, I think, at Sonisphere on the main stage, and again that fit them, but they were, mid-afternoon or thereabouts. So I didn't realise they'd become this big, or at least this level, to be playing arenas. So I don't see why a Bloodstock headline isn't feasible. I don't think they're past that at this point. That sounds about right for me.
Well,
Um,
maybe I should have worded it the other way. I think Bloodstock is probably past Volbeat. I think they would. I don't know. Maybe you never know. You
I
never
think
know with Bloodstock.
I think a headline at Bloodstock is about right for them
Yeah,
overall. But yeah, I mean, why it's not happened? I don't know. Just getting hold of bands
like you say,
sometimes and
are they cool
whatnot.
enough? Are they like a big? Are they like a wow enough draw to headline a festival in the UK? They played Download a few times and all that, but
I don't see why not. If they can do arenas in Britain, then they can do Bloodstock. And look, as I say, I know they clearly have their detractors for some reason, but I think they're clearly popular enough.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think they could be a guilty pleasure to a lot of people. Maybe what they need is a Bloodstock headliner. So you bring them all in and go, yeah, actually, we all like this band. They're great. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they're a sing-along band, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just touch on obviously very, very different, but on Friday night I went to see Creeper at Coco and another proper sing-along band, and they're a band that are going to have their detractors because of how they portray themselves.
We used to be
We
those.
used to be exactly those people, but when any band that can create an atmosphere and can create sing-along moments, and those are the things that stick with you, and Volbeat are capable of doing that. So
Yeah.
it's just it's almost like they have to work a little bit harder to sell themselves in a metal, certainly in the UK. In Europe, in mainland Europe, they play to massive crowds,
Mm.
because I think in Europe they don't take themselves so seriously, and it doesn't matter so much. Whereas the UK, it's like, go on then, impress us,
Yeah.
so I think they'd be
Yeah,
in that boat. But
we are a bit post-based in that regard still.
yeah, yeah, we are. But I think they deserve their success. They've been around for a quarter of a century, and they've kind of just gradually grown organically, and here they are. So fair play to them, I say. Overall, I think we both think it's a good album, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I don't. I'm not going to sit here and, at the moment anyway, say it's a great album. I don't think it's going to trouble my top five.
No,
But it is overall consistently good and enjoyable enough to, yeah, certainly get the 4K, as it were.
yeah, I think it'd be one of those. I will probably listen to it quite a lot. It'll be one I listen to in the car quite a lot and things like that. Like, it's pretty inoffensive, and it'll get more listens than albums that I was more excited about, if that makes sense, just because it's easy listening.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's one of those. It's one of those albums that sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know what to listen to. I'll just stick this on. There you go,
Yeah.
and it covers various bases. You've got your choruses, you've got your riffs. It's almost well, it's almost like a Cornish pasty, isn't it?
Volbeat, the Cornish pasty of metal. All right, yeah, all right, I'll take that.
I don't know if there's a Danish equivalent of the all rounder food source, but
Padre's not going to like that, don't you?
uh, you know how I feel about Padres Cornish pasty love.
It'll
It's
it'll come.
it's
It'll come.
it's fine, but come on, we don't need to get into debates about it.
Right, so there you go. New Volbeat album, the Cornish pasty of heavy metal. So what more could you want? So yeah, look, go check it out. If you're into Volbeat, you'll like it anyway. I don't think there's any worries about that. But if you're not into them, give it a go, because they are, like you said, they are, sitting in a pub by a fire and an old dog comes along, and everybody likes an old dog. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with a roundup of April and May, because we missed it in April, but there are a few albums worth talking about. So I'm dragging the Welshman into that one. So beware of that. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Cheers and stay metal.
Eagles.